Alrighty, I think we are live. Wonderful. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our live video today. My name is Gabby, joined here with Oscar, and we are kicking off Suicide Prevention Week. We are going live 3 times this week with the Boys Town National Hotline to give an overview on our hotline and all of the incredible services within it, as well as interview one of our hotline counselors and get to know a day in the life of her role. And we're going to be talking about an array of resources available at the hotline that you and your family can take note of during this week and during the month and even past that. So these are resources that we would love for you to save and share and get the word out to as many people as possible during this important awareness week. Oscar, how are you doing today?
Fine, Gabby. How about yourself?
Good. Thank you so much for joining. For those who don't know you, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your role at the Boys Town Hotline.
Absolutely. So my name is Oscar Gonzalez. I'm the director of the Boys Town National Hotline here at Boys Town, Nebraska. So my primary role is to oversee the variety of suite of programs that we have underneath the Boys Town Hotline. That phrase is a catch-all, but we have 5 distinct programs that fall underneath that hotline banner, all geared at providing help for help seekers in their time of need.
Mhm. And how does the Boys Town National Hotline provide that help? Because we have both the hotline and Your Life, Your Voice. If you would tell us a little bit more about the services provided.
Absolutely. So, you heard me say, we have 5 distinct programs. So, I'm going to start kind of at a macro level and kind of work our way to kind of some of our more local regional support that we provide. Um, so, at the highest level, we have Your Life, Your Voice, which is a website, yourlifeyourvoice.org, that help seekers primarily geared towards youth. And we usually quantify youth from 23 years old and younger. And it's a site that has a variety of tools and resources to help youth that are facing any challenges that they might come across in their day-to-day lives. And this can be a range of issues from suicidal ideations to anxiety, stress, loss, grief. All those things are possible. My apologies. But I shut that down. We're seeking those type of help. So that website provides help for the youth, and it's really at a global scale. So we can see where folks are accessing our services, and there's really the world over folks are accessing Your Life, Your Voice website, which is awesome to see because we know folks are getting the help that they need. At the next level down, we have our Boys Town National Hotline. So national is kind of the key term there. So that is all across the United States. We're in every state and several territories. And so with that number, help seekers who are facing any variety of challenges, but it is a suicide prevention hotline in particular. So, anything that kind of falls within that realm. So help seekers can call that line, and we have trained counselors 24 hours a day to respond to what those help seekers are looking for.
Mhm.
So next, as we drill down, so Boys Town is in Nebraska, as you heard me mention a little bit earlier today. So we have some more regional, local programs that we execute for Nebraska. So we have a family helpline. So one that's great about the Nebraska Family Helpline is it's we talk about youth specific and we focus a lot on the help seekers and particularly on youth these days and the challenges they're facing. But our family helpline is more geared towards parents. So
Mhm.
one, it's important to know that it's not just kids that are having issues today; parents are also having those, and that line in particular helps provide resources for families and parents in particular who are struggling and needs of help as well. We also fulfill 988, which is a federal level national suicide prevention line. We fulfill that for the state of Nebraska. And then lastly, we have a local uh, tip line. So this is not a hotline, it's a tip line that we have it's called Safe to Help Nebraska. And that is in our local schools here in Nebraska. So this is a third party reporting tool. So, and it's anonymous. Folks can call in and say, "Hey, my friend's being bullied. My friend's suicidal." We do get first person callers as well saying, "Hey, I'm suicidal." And what's great about having that is one, it's another layer of safety for our kids in school, but it nests really well with all those other adjacent programs. So if someone calls in, either third party or first party, saying, "Hey, I'm suicidal, my friend's suicidal," we can still reach back to our other programs and provide them that kind of support that they're looking for.
Mhm. Definitely. So kind of an umbrella of services and different service lines with that. But with those, what are some of the key features of those?
So absolutely. So some of the key features that we have really across all those programs is one, we have a fairly robust in-house built um, database, and that database is all the resources across the country. And this can be a variety of things that folks might be needing. That's, hey, where is there a homeless shelter? Is there, a food pantry nearby? Is there a place where I can get in consultation or meet a therapist? Things like that. We have a database of all these resources across all the states. So no matter where a caller is calling from, we can provide them resources back in their local area so they can get the help that they're looking for. We also have trained counselors on staff 24 hours a day. And so those staff are trained extensively to help the caller in the moment of need. And we really work on a de escalation model. So, really, what that means is whatever problem you're facing in that particular moment, we really want to help you understand it, unpack it, and de escalate that place, that situation to get you to a place of safety. And then once we can kind of wrap all that up, that's what we try to deliver those resources for long term care and support that that caller might be needing.
Yeah. Hmm. And, we've talked a lot so far about calling, but in terms of accessibility, the hotline is available. As you can see, I have it as an overlay on this video. We have a call, we have texting, which has really taken off in the last few years, especially because, a lot of kids sometimes when they're in that vulnerable place, they might not feel comfortable calling maybe the first time, but are a little more comfortable sending a text or two. So our hotline counselors also offer that. And then within our yourlifeyourvoice.org on our website, we also recently launched an app. So we can talk a little bit about that as well in this live.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, the modalities of for folks to reach out, leverage our services is important to us. We try to live where the help seekers are at. So
Yeah.
as you mentioned, you can through a variety of our services, you can either call, you can chat being I'm online and I'm connected. You can text, that's texting through your cell phone. Some of our lines you can email to us. And then if none of those even work, there's on our Your Life, Your Voice website, an aspect that I really love about it is for the folks that are emailing in with their challenges and issues, one, they're going to get a response from a trained counselor. But one thing they also get is we scrub out any identifiable information, and then we post our response to the website as well. So if none of those other modalities work for a
Mhm.
help seeker for whatever reason it might be, they can
Yeah.
still go to yourlifeyourvoice.org, and we put them under topical themes. So suicide, grief, depression, whatever the case may be, they can see one that other folks are experiencing the same issue, but then two, they can actually see the response provided back to that help seeker. Now, so hopefully they can still utilize what was given out. So again, there are still all those other mechanisms that hopefully they'll be encouraged to leverage those services. But if nothing else, you can see that other folks are experiencing the same thing as them, and they can see what advice was given to them.
Mm, definitely. And with some of those subject matters of why people call, it can be such an isolating experience. So to be able to go on our website and see directly, oh, I am not the first by far to reach out about this issue is, comforting in its own way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are some of the issues, Oscar, that youth, teens, and parents reach out to the hotline in Your Life, Your Voice about?
So great question. We have, obviously we track the topics so to see, making sure that we're staying relevant on everything that we should be doing from a counselor perspective. So our top five reasons why we get calls to the hotline, of course, being a suicide prevention line, our number one right now is suicidal ideations. So folks who, for a variety of reasons, are in a dark place in their life. And they're thinking about taking their lives. And so they call in seeking help, and we are exceedingly glad that they do. So we work with those callers. Anxiety is number two for us, and this is interesting because this wasn't always historically the case. We really saw anxiety come to the fore right around 2020, which I'm sure most folks will realize that was right around COVID-19 kind of really starting to ramp up. And so anxiety really started to come to the fore, with that particular world event happening. But, we live in interesting times these days. And so really it's what started with COVID-19 has really not quite stopped in the realm of news. Everything's so accessible, available to everyone to look at. And so it's no wonder that anxiety is one of our top reasons why folks are calling it.
Mhm.
Depression is another one for us. There's a variety of reasons around why depression might crop up for folks, and so that's a prevalent call we get. A lot of relationship concerns. There's a variety that can be familial, a loved one. There's so many different aspects to relationships that it was bound to be number one for us.
Yeah.
And then the fifth one for us of our top five is friendships. So one, friendships are super important to us. We're social creatures. So when you're having challenges with a friend, particularly as you're a young person growing up, your friends are really your kind of win into the world and being social. So if you're having challenging times with a close friend and you guys are on the outs, that causes a lot of those other aspects, causes anxiety, causes depression. It can even cause suicidal ideation. So friendships is our number five, and it really it could be a gateway to the rest of the four.
Mhm. Mhm. So, when a child, teen, or parent reaches out regarding any of these issues, how are they addressed directly?
So they call in, well, or any of the other modalities we talked about.
Yes.
So when they call in, they're going to get a trained counselor on staff ready to talk with them. And kind of what I mentioned before is really work with them to de-escalate the situation that they're in. Hey, where are you at in your personal journey? How can we kind of de-escalate that, take out the immediacy of the risk or the concerns,
Mhm.
and then we're really big on building safety plans. So hey, great, we've got you out of this initial moment, but we know that just because you're out of the woods right now in this moment does not mean that'll always be the case. So safety planning is really vital for us to and for the caller to make sure that they have a good solid plan going forward. Part of those safety plans is those delivery of those resources I talked about. So we have a lot of resources on hand that we can proffer for the caller to use and to leverage, and we'll build that into their safety plan. So who do you have that you can talk to? Can you move this to another room? You're going to go tomorrow to go seek, talk to this help provider, or get whatever you need out of this. So they're going to get a trained counselor. They're going to get de-escalated. They're going to get a safety plan. These are the things that they will be experiencing when they call on any of our hotlines.
Mhm. Definitely. And we have all the steps to how to create a safety plan directly written out on yourlifeyourvoice.org. That is a wonderful resource that if you take a few minutes after you watch this video this week to look through and share with your child. So I will make sure to link that on this video so you can take a look. And like I said at the beginning, we'll be going over several more tips and tools this week as we go live several times. So thanks for tuning in. Okay, on a little bit of a happier note here, we are celebrating our 35th anniversary of the hotline this year, which is very exciting. So, Oscar, over the last 3 decades, how has the Boys Town National Hotline really grown and adapted to its need and the evolving needs of children and families?
Absolutely. So there's three main aspects that I think of that have happened over those 35 years. One, staffing, right? So this is people driven. We have to have trained counselors on staff 24 hours a day for our help seekers. And so, one thing is the need for those who are seeking help that's only grown over the years. So making sure that our staffing is commensurate, that we can provide services at any given time to any caller coming in. So that's a real big aspect for us. We've grown our staff over these years to make sure that we can keep pace and provide the help for those who are seeking it. The second aspect for us has really been training.
Yeah.
So you can't rest on your laurels, and what was once, a major topic can no longer be, and something completely new is. So we have within our overall underneath the hotline banner, we have a different department, a training department that they focus on one building and delivering training to our staff that is relevant and up to date. And they spend a lot of time staying relevant, looking at other research that's happening, seeing what's going on in the environments in the world today, and making sure that the staff are aware of what these new emergent issues are, what these topics might be, and they have the appropriate training delivered to them. So it's not just a one and done of, all right, I went through my training and now I'm a counselor and I never get talked to again. Our training is cyclical. It's always coming back around, and we're always making sure we're delivering new and relevant topics because that's where our callers are living. Something new that's happening in the world will be affecting them. So if we're not aware of it, how are we supposed to deliver adequate support to our callers? So our training department is a really big aspect of that. And then lastly, over these 30 years is really the modalities that we talked about. So, when we started off, it was just a phone number to call. And nowadays, we don't tend to call each other as much. And hey, text me.
Mhm.
And in fact, some of those calls lead to some of those anxieties, like, oh no, if you're calling me, something bad's happening. Otherwise, you just text me.
Right.
So the modalities for us have been an evolution. So knowing that, hey, you know what, young people are no longer calling; they're living on chatting via their their web browser, or they're using their phones to text in. So making sure that we had intake mechanisms that could still be where our callers are at. So that was another aspect for us of our evolution, is making sure that we could live where all of our help seekers might be living. And then, of course, lastly is our application. So again, everything today seems to live on the phones,
Yeah.
and so we do want to make sure that we're, even if you're not maybe actively seeking help, or that immediacy that I'm calling into a hotline delivers, you still have a mechanism for tracking what's going on in your day-to-day lives, helping you realize there's some trends to it, or that there's some help to it, because also in our application is a safety plan building tool. So you go to our website, you can call in and get one, and then on the application itself, you can also build a safety plan. And along with that, you'll have the insights that you are creating for yourselves to say, oh, there's a thing that's happening regularly for myself. I should probably build a safety plan around avoiding or mitigating or dealing with whatever that might be.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think one of the most incredible things about all of what we just talked about is that it's all free. It doesn't cost a penny to call the hotline through our app. I feel like, especially, in social media now, so many apps have hidden costs, or you download it for free, but then you get a pop up for something that costs money, or they want your information. The Your Life, Your Voice app doesn't do any of that, which I think is incredible in a day and age that where so much just wants your information and funds and everything, and the app doesn't, and neither does our website. So
Absolutely. We are big proponents of zero barriers to seeking help. And even a lot of the other aspects you can do that might be free, or you might have insurance for, so you don't necessarily are coming out of pocket directly.
Mhm.
Um, all those other mechanisms, you make an appointment. I'll see you in a week. The hotline is free and it's immediate. You call in, you're going to get a counselor no matter the time of day that you're calling. So those are big aspects for us. We want to take down all the barriers to help seekers that we possibly can.
Mhm. Yeah. I only have a few more questions here on my list for Oscar. So if you're watching live, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and please share it so more people during Suicide Prevention Week can watch and learn more about the Boys Town National Hotline and Your Life, Your Voice. So, over the nearly 35 years of the Boys Town National Hotline, what are some key milestones or achievements that highlight the impact of our hotline and on the individuals and communities that we serve?
Awesome question. So we have a lot of different information or data, or however you want to quantify it, that we look at to measure our success with our hotlines. One of the ones that we're exceedingly proud of, that we talk a lot about, is active suicides in progress that we were able to prevent. So last year alone, there was 468 suicides that were in the middle of happening, that are kept they in their last desperate seek of need. They called our helpline. They had taken pills. They had already started the process of whatever they were doing, and our staff was able to either get intervention over to those folks, or get those help seekers the appropriate amount of help that they needed to stop those suicides in progress. So that's always a great one that we tell, because those are lives that would not have been here otherwise. Through Beyond that, we have a number of tools and ways that we measure. So We took over 111,000 calls and contacts last year alone. Our website, Your Life, Your Voice, we had over 500,000 visits to the website. Over 300,000 of those were individual unique users. So one, we're glad to see that folks are coming back and using those tools. We've got downloadables there, so theoretically you wouldn't necessarily have to, but we love that you can come back and get whatever tool sets you need to. Um, but it's always good to know that there's also new help seekers coming in there. We want to make sure that folks have access to it. So 500,000 there, 100,000 calls came in. We took over 20,000 of our calls that were specifically suicidal ideations that we're able to de-escalate out of that moment and deliver those resources for them. So we have a lot of different success measures, but really, um, the thing that we're just happy to be able to do is be present every single day and provide help for those who are seeking it. So we have a you heard all those numbers that are great ways to look and measure success. And we are super excited that we could be here every single day to provide that.
Yes, because even, picturing a room of 468 people whose suicides were stopped in that moment, or trying to picture, 111,000 contacts, it's your mind can't even wrap around it. But to even know, we're happy even to just have saved one person, and to be able to share the word about the hotline and know that it's helping so many people every day is really special. And I want to thank all of the donors watching right now, especially because a lot of it is because of your support. So when you support Boys Town, a lot of people think of the family home program or the kids on campus or maybe our in-home family services. But when you support Boys Town, you're directly helping stop one of those suicides or getting the phone number into the hands of someone who might not otherwise have it. So I want to call that out because just like Oscar said, we say these numbers, but when you really stop to think about how impactful it is really, really special. So
Absolutely. I do want to echo that sentiment, right? To our donors out there, it is in no small part due to your support that we're able to do this. Boy Scout is a nonprofit. We're not here to talk about the free aspect of our services because we legitimately believe in it. And to be able to provide that support for folks, I would personally love that if tomorrow I was out of a job because no more folks needed help, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I'll go find do something else. That is unfortunately not the case and not the world that we live in today. So these services are direly needed, and they only just seem to be growing. The help seekers seem to be growing year over year, and so we absolutely are here to provide that support for those who are seeking it.
mhm, yeah. And with that, I want to go ahead and show that was one of the notes that Oscar had mentioned, and as well as some of our other service lines here on screen. So if you are watching this and you want to go ahead and share it and or screenshot it just to make sure that you have this information available, we are just trying to get it in the hands of as many people as possible. Oscar, any final words today?
The last thing I would leave folks on. So, if you're looking for ways to supporting the hotline, there's a number of mechanisms to do so. Of course, you could always donate, but beyond that is share it, talk about it, talk about the services provided. The more people are aware of the services and the numbers and the websites, the more folks that can get help. And then just be there for each other. It's an important aspect. Folks need support on a day-to-day basis, and we never know what each other are going through. So be there for each other, talk about the resources, and get this into the hands of someone who truly needs it.
Mhm. Yes. Agreed, agreed. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We will be live again tomorrow with Rachel, who is a Boys Town National Hotline counselor, to go through a day in the life in her role and talk more about us and our services that we provide during Suicide Prevention Week. Thank you, Oscar, for joining.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, everyone.